Hi everyone, this is Beth Castellini with Lizzy Stamps, and today I am going to show you this fun pleated fold card technique, as well as show you a new suite that is coming out as an online exclusive, and it's called the Brushed with Beauty Suite, and I will tell you the paper is stunning. It will be out November 4th. I can't wait to show you. I'm going to show you the suite, and because I also want to show you our new packaging that Stampin' Up has just come out with. So let's get started. Here is one card that I've done with this beautiful paper. It's just, wait till you see the paper. And it has 2 stamp sets with dies that match. So you're going to get 2 stamp sets, dies that match, paper, an embossing folder, and embellishments. So I'm going to show that to you right now, but this is just one of the cards that I've done, and then we're going to make another one. First of all, I'm going to start with the paper because the paper is just beautiful. So the colors in this paper are Calypso Coral, Darling Duckling, Early Espresso, Lost Lagoon, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Secret Sea, and Very Vanilla. I'm big on using Very Vanilla, and I just think this paper with the Very Vanilla, it's absolutely stunning. So here is one side, and I think it's beautiful, and they're all painted. And then on the other side, you have this fun design. So that's the first one, and this is the second one. The colors, just looking at it doesn't do it justice. You have to really have it in your hand to look at, but I love the detail of the flowers and the leaves. And this is just a nice, it's like a watercolor wash spackle. I think it's really fun. And that's in Secret Sea and Lost Lagoon. And then this colorway. And then you've got the Calypso Coral and the Petal Pink. Love that. And here's another one. I love the background of the crumb cake. And then here you've got Mossy Meadow and Old Olive together. And then here's Darling Duckling background with a petal pink. It's really pretty. And our last one, and this one I wanted you to notice because this is the first time I've ever seen Stampin' Up do this, is that they left a border all the way around the 12 by 12. So I thought that was very interesting. Like if you wanted to have it as a scrapbook page layout, that would be really nice. And then you already have the matting behind it. But it almost makes the flowers look like they're popping out. And I think that's what the idea was. But again, you can see all the colors that are in this collection. The next thing I want to show you, before I start to show you the stamps, these are the embellishments. And you can see they are Pearls of Beauty. And what I like about these is that they shine. And you can see that they're shining in the light. And so you've got this vanilla color, and then this is Calypso Coral, and then you've got crumb cake. But it shines differently. It just sort of catches different colors as you move it through the light. I don't know if you can really see that, but they're really pretty. So you get quite a bit. So you have a bigger circle and then a smaller one, but they're really, really pretty. And then the embossing folder, this is the beautiful pattern embossing folder. And I've made a card with this already that I'll show you when I'm finished. But again, when you're using this is basically what I would consider a 3D embossing folder. So you'll use platform 1 and then the plate number 4 to run this through the Stampin' and Cut and Emboss machine. These are the 2 stamp sets that come with the suite. And I love the flowers. This is a 2-step stamping set, as you can see. And you've got some beautiful details. What I'm going to tell you is that this packaging, okay, so this comes, the packaging is it goes 9 by 5.5, almost 6. So it is big. And a lot of demonstrators who have already received this are deciding how they would like to store them. And I'll show you what I used after I explain this. So this is the dies. So the dies come separate, okay? And it does tell you, so this is for stamping, cut, and emboss dies. So you know this is the dies, but in small print, it says Petal of Beauty dies. So it matches the Petal of Beauty stamp set. It comes like this, and when you open it, you pull out the dies, and I'm going to show you the dies. Here they are on this sheet, okay? It slides nicely, so I decided I've got this I'm going to keep in case I decide to sell this once it retires. And so I keep that, but I can slide this sheet with all the dies in it behind the envelope, inside the envelope. I just slide it in just like this. What I did with the flap, you'll notice I took it and I put it behind the back here. Then you can just slide the dies right in with the stamp set. All right, so then what I have is I have the stamps, and these are clear photopolymer, and they come in a sheet. So if you're used to the ones with the DVD cases that you had the plastic sheeting with the dies, the stamps already on it, but then you had the printed form. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. Just for example, so you would get the sheet and then you would be able to put the stamps right on top of the printed image. Stampin' Up doesn't do that anymore. You can, and I've seen some demonstrators print this and slide it like this so you're able to put it where the stamps go. But these aren't true to size, so that's why I decided to do it this way. So what I did is I turned it over and then I took a Sharpie. Now this is green because it's the only Sharpie I had, but I did an outline of each stamp. So then when I take it off, you can see the outline. Hopefully you can see that outline. And then I know exactly where this stamp goes back to, okay? And that's how I decided to do it. You might decide to do it differently, which is totally fine. I am keeping this, it's a thinner plastic. This is a thicker, this is almost like a window sheet. And I keep this just to keep it protected, okay? I used to throw these away when I had them in the DVD cases, and then I slide it in between, okay? So I'm sliding it in here. There we go, just like that. And then it's stored, okay? So I've got the dies that match it with it. And this sheet fits in there. But let me show you this one. So here's the other stamp set with the dies that match, is called Words of Beauty. And it has the Just Because, and then it has the typeset sentiments. Here are the dies that go with it. And I want you to know, if you have a magnet sheet, or if you buy the ones, I get them on Stampin' Storage, and they come in a pack, and this slides in. So it's easy access, okay? Which is so nice. And here are the dies with this. So with the Just and Because, you can stamp the Just and die cut it out, or you can use, so here's an outline, and then here is the Just that fits right. So this will fit over like this. I'm going to show you my cards that I've made so you can see what I'm talking about. I like that. I like that you can stamp it and then cut it out with the die, or you can use cardstock and do it that way. And then you've got these nice dies that cut out the sentiments. I think that's just a nice touch. So the cards that I've made already, which I think are so pretty, the first one I showed you, and this one, this piece right here is the backing of this one. Then I stamped with Calypso Coral, the Just Because, and cut it out with the dies. And then I stamped I stamped the smaller flower. And again, this is two-step stamping. So I stamped it with Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. And then I used our Winka Stella and colored it in. And then I used the Pearls of Beauty accent. And then on the inside, I stamped the flower again and Appreciate You, and then used Winka Stella. This is another card, and this is what I was talking about, that you can cut out the outline and then the wording. So Just Because, and that is with Old Olive, and then it's Crumb Cake behind, and then You've Been on My Mind is cut out with one of those dies that comes with it. And then you'll notice the embossing. It just gives a nice subtleness to the card. And this is using that sheet, and then this is the backing of that one. And then you've got the pearls again. And then on the inside, I just took a strip of the designer series paper on there. And again, I used Very Vanilla. And then this one I really messed up. I had stamped the Just, but it didn't stamp correctly. So I just went ahead and stamped it on a scrap piece of Very Vanilla and then cut it out with the die, and then just did the word Because with the 3 dots, which I stamped too hard. And then this is an idea of how you can see the flowers. They do not go on top of one another. They're supposed to be offset, okay? So just so you know, but I really like that effect. And again, here's this paper with that is the strip over it. And then on the inside, and I made a mistake, but there you go. It's your birthday. And again, I stamped this is just Petal Pink. So I stamped off on the background, and then on the outline of the flower, I just stamped regular in the Petal Pink. So it does give you a different effect. So those are the 3 that I did. And today we're going to do one similar to this one, but we're going to play with it a little bit. Okay, so what you'll need is I have a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 Mossy Meadow, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have 2 pieces of 4 by 5 1/4, Very Vanilla, one for the outside, which we'll do the pleated on, and one for the inside. And then I have scrap pieces of Very Vanilla because we're going to be stamping. And then I have a scrap piece of Old Olive, which I think I'm going to use some of the leaves to cut that out. So we'll see how that goes. And then for the designer series paper, you're going to need a piece of 3 by 11. What I did is I cut a 1/2 inch off each side, but you can just cut off 1 inch. It doesn't matter. So you need 3 by 11, and then you need a piece of, I did 3 1/4 by 5. And the reason I did 5 is you're going to wrap it around, okay? And the same thing with this one, you'll have flaps that you wrap around the cardstock. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is get our score and cut. We are going to be scoring. So the first score is going to be at 1 1/2 because you're scoring at 1 1/2 and a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to start at 1 1/2 and score. And you don't want to score very heavy, okay? Because the designer series paper is lighter than the cardstock, so you definitely don't want to tear it if you press too hard. Then I'm going to go to 2 inches and score. Then I'm going to go to 3 inches and score. Then I'm going to go to 3 1/2 and score. Then 4 1/2. Then 5, 6, 7 1/2, 6 1/2, sorry, 6 1/2. Then 7 1/2. Then 8. Then 9. And then 9 1/2. So I'll go over those score measurements again. So you're going to be scoring at 1 1/2, 2, 3, 3 1/2, 4 1/2, 5, 6, 6.5, 7.5, 8, 9, and 9.5. So we're going to make a diagonal cut, okay? That's what gives the pleat effect, is this diagonal cut. So what I'm going to do is I need to go to 1.5, and I have a pencil right here, and you want a pencil with an eraser so you can erase it. You don't have to erase the pencil line, but I'm going to put a score. Can you see this right here? I'm going to put a little line right there at the 1.5. And then down below, I'm still holding it at the 1.5. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put a little line there. Okay. Then you're going to turn it and you're going to go to the 5-inch score line and you're going to put a little line there. And then you're going to move it over to the 6th score line and put a line there. Okay. So let's go over it again. You need 1.5 here and 1.5 on the other side. And then you're going to have 5 and 6. So you're going to go down from the 1.5-inch line to this score. So go from this mark to this mark, and you're going to cut. Okay, and this piece you can keep it if you want to, but it has score lines on it, so you can throw it away. Then I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to go from this line to this line right here, and I'm going to score there. You'll notice that this is right here is flat, but then you've got the diagonal line on either side. So now what we're going to do is you're going to fold all the score lines and burnish with a bone folder. So I'm getting all my score lines. And you want to make sure that you get each score line. Sometimes they're hard to feel. You just want to feel with it. And I'm folding in I'm going in on the valley, okay? Because it works a lot better than folding into the mountain, because we're not using this side, and that's where the mountain, you see the mountain score line there. Okay, and go ahead, and we're just burnishing all of the score lines. There we go. Okay, so now they're all burnished and we're ready to start folding. What you're going to do, I'm going to have part of this showing. So if you look at this card, you'll notice that that is the back side of this paper. So you want that showing, and that's how we want it, okay? And then this flap right here, or this piece right here, is this right here. So, all right, so what you're going to do is you're going to start, and I tend to start from the left, but you're going to put this score line behind, okay? You don't want it to go over. You don't want it to go that way. You want it to go behind. And then you're going to go ahead, and this one, you're going to fold this into here, and see how we're getting that? The back side, same there. Okay, that's that side. And this is what I told you, that part of this is going to be wrapped around the very vanilla cardstock. And do the same thing for the other side. All right, because we want this showing in one straight piece. So fold there and fold here. Okay, so there is our pleat. It's really easy to do once you do it. You can play with it, and you can fold it this way and do it that way if you want to, but I find it pretty easy to do now that I've done a few. So what I like to do now is I like to take our tear and tape, and I'm going to push this together, and I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape across the top right here. And that just holds it together, but you're going to see how we use it. So I'm just going to take a piece right about that size. And I'm going to push them in, and I'm going to lay it pretty much close to the top. Okay. So, and there you go. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I want to add another piece back here. And this is what's going to go. So we've got a piece there. So now we're going to get our layer of Very Vanilla. Got our layer of Very Vanilla. And I want it to sit, get this up. I want this to sit right here at the very bottom, okay? So that's what I'm going to do right there. And then, so what I'm going to do is take, and this is our take your pick tool, and it's easy to pull the backings off of the tear and tape, and pull that off. And then we're going to lay it. So it's about even there. Maybe over a little bit. There you go. And remember, I told you that you've got these little edges, and we're going to wrap them around. So I'm just going to fold it first. Fold it like that. And then I'm going to take, you can use your tear and tape if you want to. But I'm going to use our Stampin' Seal and just wrap it around the back and do the same thing on this side. Okay, you've got your 3/4 by 5 inch strip, and we're going to flip it over and do it on this side, especially with this side, because I think I want to do it this way. So I've got a little bit more of the crumb cake showing. And I'm going to take off the backing here and lay that right on top. And I'm going to even it out. And you can put it, if you want to, you can do it lower or you can do it higher. It's totally up to you. I'm going to do it sort of in the middle. Rub across. And then you've got your Stampin' Seal that you can do this piece right here and push it back there, and then do it on the other side as well. Okay. There. All right, that's the main component of the card. I don't want to adhere it to our card base yet because I'm still deciding how I want to stamp everything. I think the color that I'm going to use is going to be Mossy Meadow. And I've debated whether or not to stamp Just and Because like this one, or stamp just the word because and have that and cut it out. I think that would be pretty, and then stamp a sentiment. So that's why I want to wait to put it on so I can make sure that I stamp it correctly. As you can see, the because is very big. So I've got acrylic block eye, and I'm going to take the because and Mossy Meadow. And because this is a clear photopolymer, I want to use our foam matte because it just stamps so much nicer with it. There we go. All right. I think it's juiced up nicely, and then I'm just going to push down. Okay. I obviously need to re-ink my ink pad, but I do like the effect that it just gave. I don't know if you can see that. So we're going to cut that word out, and then we will stamp the other sentiment in a minute. I do want to finish stamping, so when I cut everything, I'll have it all together. Now, I want to stamp the flower. And I thought about with the flowers, and we just have to play with it. But I love the two-tone when you stamp, and we can stamp using 2 different colors, part of the designer series paper, just like I did with this one. Or we can stamp off and make it lighter. So I just sort of want to play with it, but I do want to use the bigger one. And I'm hoping the bigger one will work. And then here I have block D. And this one, you're gonna notice, if you see the packaging, that it's shadowed, okay? That's how it's supposed to come. So when you're stamping it, don't be like, oh, I didn't stamp it all the way. So we're going to get petal pink right here. And I have a scrap piece that I'll stamp off. All right, so we're going to ink this up, stamp off, and then stamp there. So there you have this one. And then we're going to get this, the more outlined one, and we're going to stamp this. We're not going to have to use our scrap piece anymore. All right. And then I'm going to line it up. And I want you to see, and so when you're lining this up, you've got the center right here, and you're going to match it up with the center there. That's the easiest way that I have found to do it, okay? So I'm just going to line it up. There's the center, push down, and there you go. If it offsets, it doesn't matter. But I love that you can just use one color. It makes such a statement. But I think that would be nice with this to show that. While I'm doing this, and use the smaller one and do the same effect. We're going to do the smaller one just in case. So I have that here, and I'm going to stamp. Stamp off. Stamp. Go. All right. And then I'm going to get the outline one, and then this time we're going to stamp it and go over that. Have the center right there. Okay. It's off a little bit, but that's okay. If you want to do it over, you can flip it over and do it on the other side, but we'll just go ahead and do it that way. So now we have all of our components that we need, and we're going to go ahead and get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. We need to get all our components out. So we need the outline. We need this one. We need this one, just in case we're deciding how we're going to do it. I thought about using this leaf die to put it behind it, or this one. So I've got those dies, and then I need the outline. So I'm going to put that on and cut it out. Make sure you have it lined up as you can. There we go. And you'll notice just how it just really stands out when you stamp it. I really like it. There you go. Look at that. Because I think that looks nice. Now we're going to put on our flower dies. I'm going to try and put two pieces together. See if I can make it work. So now that we have all of our pieces cut out, now we are ready to put the card together. Okay. So we have to decide how we want it to go together. So I can do the because right here and do the flower, or I can put the flower down and the because over it. You could put the because here with the flower, and it could be that the smaller flower works better if you want to do this. And we can actually cut the leaves and put it behind there. And then we have our sentiment right here, okay? So let's go ahead and use some Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to put 2 on here. And we'll go back and put the leaves behind it in a minute. And you have to decide how you want it. I think I want it to go like that. And then I'm going to have the because over it like this. And then the sentiment's going to go right here. But I'm going to go ahead and put that on. And I'm going to use my mini dimensionals. There we go. And put those on. Well, actually, this one right here, I might want to put just a glue dot or glue it. So because it's going to go like right there. And then this will be glued at the end. Okay. All right. There we go. There's a lot of different ways you can play with this stamp set. It has to go over just a little bit more. So we have, because you're a great friend, because it's your birthday, because I appreciate you, because I love you. You could stamp "You're so kind," but I think I'm going to use one that already has the phrase. Let's do "Because I appreciate you." Let me see how that works. So you can stamp it right there. I think that would be nice. I'm going to go ahead while I have it lined up. I'm ready to stamp, and I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow stamp pad. All right, because I appreciate you. So it could have been up a little bit higher, but I think that's all right. And then with the leaves, I just want to see what a couple, a leaf or two would look like. They might be too big. They might be better on the other flower. Well, I have one there. I think that'll be okay. That would work. Or don't use them at all, but I needed a little bit more green behind here. Okay. All right, that looks better. So here I've got my card front and lay that there. And then we're going to lay this right on top. And you can use liquid glue. You can use your Stampin' Seal, however you feel more secure with. I tend to go with the liquid glue. I know that this will adhere, and it's forgiving for you to move just in case you need to. But okay, there's that. This flap right here, and this is what I've done. I took a glue dot. I liked it pushed down, so I just took a glue dot and lifted it and put it underneath. There. You can do that with the other flaps, but I just like down there. But on the inside, you have this leftover flower, which we have, and then I've got the leftover leaves, which might be pretty to use. It's nice because then there's more uses for that leaf die, not just for the whole one. And we can stick this right here and yeah, I like that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. There. Now we're ready to put it on the inside. So with some practice, the pleated fold technique is really easy to do. And I really wanted to showcase this paper, so I did that way. Now let's put on our embellishments. And I think since we've got the crumb cake, we're going to use the crumb cake pearls. Oops, one just came out. So we'll stick one right there. And we'll do a big one. Maybe right there. And then one more little one. There. I would, if this wasn't covered up, I could put one right behind here on top of the middle of the flower. But I think that's okay. And then on the inside, I will put one on. There. There you go. I appreciate you following along with me. I think this is just a really, really fun technique and showcasing the new Brushed with Beauty suite. So here I just want to put the cards out for you so you can see. So you have this one that we just did, and then you have this one, and then this one, and then this one. So I hope you really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, this suite comes out November 4th. You can go to my website, lizzystamps.stampinup.net, And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love for you to follow along as I create. And I hope you guys have a great day and happy stamping.